Certainly, there's a little bit of both, but I think, by and large, it's an opportunity. I think the only reason we're sort of here today, the only reason ChatGPT even existed is because, uh, around 5 to 10 years ago, when some of these technologies were very nascent, larger companies decided to open source, their models. And if you look at how natural language processing has evolved, neural networks have been around for decades now. Um, but there was just a few different issues with how neural networks worked that sort of prevented them from uh, efficiently looking at a large amount of data and using a large amount of context to make a prediction. So oftentimes they could, but they would be computationally expensive. The algorithms wouldn't scale. And what Google did was really, come up with a particular architecture that allowed uh, the models to read more context. And they decided to open source it because they knew that, well, if you look at these models and you look at their ability to read context, the model architecture itself is not special. Now the amount of data you have to train it is special. And so then NLP became a race of, less of, technologies and less of architectures and more of data and capacity. And that's obviously something that, comes with cost. If you wanted, BERT, training BERT from scratch, I think cost them, like $250,000. And certainly that wasn't something that, they knew that the average firm would do. And so, they made the decision to open source it, and sort of it was a communal decision. I think it was the right move at the time, and at the time too. I think one of the reasons they did open source is because they knew, like, this model's pretty cool, it works. It's not like general AI or anything like that, so it didn't seem so threatening to open source it, but it did lead to a very vibrant community of open source natural language processing. And so natural language processing, I don't think would exist as a community today if it wasn't for those first models being open sourced. And now when we look at what's happening with ChatGPT, now we start seeing a revision of that model. These models are so powerful that now OpenAI is thinking of, we're going to close source it. We're going to make money off of it. But then you see this other NLP community that is used to so much open source saying, okay, well, we're going to build a chat GPT model, from scratch ourselves, and we're going to open source that. And so it's definitely the most exciting time for sure, to be in natural language processing. Uh, I think at the end of the day, the open source approach is going to win because it's what got NLP here today. And there's only so much you can do with, protecting um, your advantage when your advantage is just how much data and how much money you had to train. And I think we're seeing those walls being knocked down very quickly in the open source community with just the plethora of open source language models that have come out even the last couple months.